I think it's pretty much fair to say we are our own worst enemy. We want new, but reject new. So yeah, maybe this whole mess is a little bit of the fans' fault.
Hold up.
Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdette's Newsstand, and I want to ask you a question. And even before you listen to the rest of the video, I want you to go down below and let me know your answer. Why do you think new characters in comic books are less successful than their predecessors? Now, it seems like a pretty easy answer, right? Everybody loves a character that has been well established, that has been thought out, has dimensions, has the ability to fail, has the ability to succeed, and eventually probably go back to the status quo. There's a lot of really easy answers to that question, but I think more or less, a lot of it also comes down to nostalgia. And I found this fascinating article, which is going to lead us into a bigger conversation for my community stream on Sunday as to why new characters do not succeed. Now, I did a video a long time ago about Teen Lantern and Far Sector, two characters that are relatively mocked by the ones they hate and beloved by the ones that simply cannot get enough of. And I think those are two pretty good examples of characters that are well written, but not necessarily beloved. Because a character that has been in the comics, Kyle Rayner, Hal Jordan, John Stewart, those other lanterns have had the time to be fleshed out. People come back to them because it's familiar, and familiarity really sells when it comes to comic books. Now, this article was actually originally put out in 2011, and I actually think it makes some really good points. Now, powerhouse here, Naomi McDuffie, is a character that was introduced on her own merit. It wasn't a sort of piggybacking off of the core. It wasn't a race or gender swap of a character like we see in the multiverse with President Superman, even though what I am saying is not political or controversial, right? I'm just telling you what happened to these characters. I love President Superman. He's one of the best parts of Justice League Incarnate. Now that Thomas is gone, oh, sadness. But he is a race swap of another character and a fine character by himself. But Powerhouse was a different situation. She definitely is her own thing, but she is also, I would say, worse than characters like Far Sector Joe Mullion, because Joe has at least had the chance to be fleshed out over 12 issues of her own, and now 12 issues of Green Lantern. And she has really become a character that I've grown to like. And I think a lot of that is due to Jeffrey Thorne. Same with Teen Lantern. Still not a big Teen Lantern fan. But when you give a character a chance to really stretch out their legs, they're going to have time to succeed. We saw that with Jessica Cruz as compared to a character like Simon Baz, who had a little bit of time to succeed, but he also felt more forced than Jessica, in my opinion. Now, this article I'm going to put in the pinned comment. Like I said, we are going to talk in depth about this on Sunday, but it gives 4 really good points, right? And a lot of it is blamed on the audience. And to be fair, we deserve it, right? We always go back to what feels good. Why do you think Batman sells so well at DC Comics as compared to something like Swamp Thing? Okay, well, Swamp Thing's not really a good example, but Justice League, because it's got Naomi front and center. Why do you think Batman sells? It's familiar. It's new. It's not new. I said it's new. Sorry. It is something that we all have grown up and loved. And then, of course, you add in media exposure with the different shows we grew up in and the video games. And Batman becomes, not for lack of a pun, a powerhouse, right? So when it comes to this, I really like what he has to say. He says, despite the unquestioned assumption on the part of pop culture critics that television's poor old audience deep down craves novelty, all available audience suggests rather that the audience really craves sameness, but thinks deep down that it craves novelty. In a sense, we crave what we know. We go back to what we know because it's comfortable. And honestly, yeah, I do that. I read in the order I think it's going to be good, right? So my Marvel books are always at the very end. But I always front load with Batman. I front load with Detective Comics. This week, I front loaded with The Flash. I knew Jeremy Adams was going to pull that off, right? I always do that. But when it comes to stuff like familiarity, that is where our minds are going to go. Now, he goes on to say, they understand that comic books are something like that. For many readers, and especially superhero readers, comics are something that these fans grew up with. Comics are something that given them much more comfort over their lives. The feeling of continuity. You can look back. You can read hundreds and hundreds of comics featuring the same character in similar situations that grow and change over time. But there's a central core that remains unchanged. Batman's always going to have his no-kill rule. We're always going to be able to go back to that familiarity. And, of course, when it comes to, we're going to use those examples again of Joe Mullion or Powerhouse. They haven't had the time to become familiar in our mind. Now, I would say that we do have a rare example of Miles Morales, who became incredibly successful in 10 years. But 10 years in the scope of things is not very often. It never happens that way. Miles Morales, a lot of his success was due to not only the movie, but the fleshing out of the character after 5-6 years. It didn't happen overnight, even though our minds might tell us otherwise. A lot of people love Miles Morales. I like Miles Morales. But you know what? At first, I didn't. Just like a lot of other people, he felt very cookie cutter. So overcrowding and pricing, which is very true, simply because if you have $5 to spend on a book, you're going to go to one that you absolutely know is going to resonate with you. If I only had $5 a week to spend on a comic book, I would buy Batman. I would 100% buy Batman. Well, let's be real. I'd buy Detective Comics. But that's because Mariko Tamaki has been doing a really good job. But it's still Batman. At the core of it, it is still Batman. And then, of course, nostalgia, right? Nostalgia is a huge part in all of this. And it plays a huge role in our minds, whether we like it to or not. We look at different things. And there's some great articles or great things by Denny O'Neil and stuff in here that I want to go over on stream because I think I want to highlight that more. But when it comes to this article, what it's telling us is we crave more of the same. And it may not be in our mind that we're necessarily going, well, I don't like that character because it's black. I don't like that character because they're Latina. I just don't like that character because it's new. And you haven't given me a chance to like that character. Now, of course, there are situations where people just don't want to accept new characters, with the token thing and just being absolutely ridiculous. But you also have to be patient. I think it's not too much as a fan to ask a creator to have a little patience with us, right? We really, myself, when it comes to Harley, we've seen Stephanie Phillips on 12 issues at this point. I've read every single one. I did not like Kevin at first. Kevin is the best thing about that book sometimes. I absolutely love that character. But it took me a solid 10 issues, which is nearly a year, to like him. Same with, I'll tell you, when it comes to some of the Tinian creations, I was instantly drawn to. And I think a lot of that has to do with their design. Ghostmaker was so cool instantly. That 4-issue, I think it was called Ghost Stories arc, where he did and introduced them, and then he was bad, and then he became, a part of the Bat family. Phenomenal storytelling. If you can get somebody to like a character in 4 issues, you are a good storyteller. Now, when it comes to stuff like Miracle Molly and Punchline, I think people are more reserved. But let's be real, the girl in me is like, I need more. I need more. I want me some Miracle Molly. She's the best thing ever. She has green hair and I love her and I want her. And yeah, now I need to cosplay her. Now she's my friend. That's the girl in me. But a lot of men are going to be more apprehensive. Oh, wow. We go back to that representation thing, right? We like familiarity. We seek out familiarity. And familiarity to me is a female character. Is why I love Harley, is why I love Catwoman. And I think it's all fair to say that sometimes people also don't like the characters when they're changed because they are unfamiliar and they are not who you grew up with. And I think it's really important to listen to somebody out before you start name calling and start being demeaning, because there are plenty of white characters that people don't like too. But I also, I think you have to take every situation at hand, because there's definitely just people that don't like them because they're black. There's definitely people that just don't like them because they changed from being white. Now, that leads more, and I think we'll talk about that on Sunday, into the movies, because it doesn't happen near as much, at least at DC Comics, as far as like race swapping and stuff like that. So I think it's definitely worth the conversation. So once I have the link up, I will put it in the pinned comment also. But why do you guys think that it is so hard for new fan or longtime fans, I guess would be a better word, to accept new characters? Do you think it's an issue of bad writing? Do you think it's an issue of novelty or nostalgia? Let me know down below. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.